Destination Texas is sponsored by Kent Elliott Roofing.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for another Destination Texas special. I'm your host, Sonora Scott. While summer vacation season may be over, the promise of cooler weather has many Texans looking to travel. In the next half hour, we'll look at a few places around the state that are family-friendly getaways. Now, people from around the world travel to this state park for rock climbing. Others come to admire artifacts and gaze at the stars. Let's head to El Paso for our first destination.
Hiking, enjoying nature, and learning about the past.
They don't really expect to see such diverse life and diverse history kind of out in the middle of the desert.
But it's climbing that's the most sought-after attraction at Huecotenc State Park.
It's one of the best rock climbing areas on the planet.
Typhus has been climbing around the world for decades. It's the geology of the boulders and cliffs at Huecotenc that captured his ambition.
So people come with high expectations, and usually when they come here, what they experience is even beyond those expectations.
But don't be intimidated. There's a rock for just about everyone.
There are things that are at every level, from beginner to the absolute best in the world.
After talking with the experts, I decided to give climbing a try. Of course I can. And after doing some climbing, you can find some pictographs underneath the rock.
These were drawn by the first settlers.
The Jornada Mogollon, they were here from about the year 400 to about 1400.
They carved out holes to grind corn and beans. Pottery pieces are still scattered in caves. Before that group, people had been passing through for more than 10,000 years. It's a place in the middle of the desert where water gathers within the boulders.
The geology creates these holes in the rock, which are called huecos, just Spanish word for hollow, which is why it's called Huecotencs.
Now it's camping and exploring that families who pass through can enjoy.
It's so unique, it's so different, and it's so beautiful and magical out here that I think everybody walks away with a really magical experience.
Success!
In Huecotenc, I'm Susie Castillo for Destination Texas.
Now let's head way out west to the ghost town of Terlingua. While the name might be fitting, you may find a lot more than you think. Take a look.
Well, doggy.
Deep in the heart of Texas, a ghost town survives. And Terlingua, Texas, found about 250 miles from Midland, has more than enough heart for the rest of the state.
What can I say about Terlingua? Terlingua is not the belly of Texas, but more so the bottom heart. That's what I can say about Terlingua.
And while it may look empty to an outsider, there's still plenty to see and do.
The most fun I've had here is just hiking around Big Bend and just exploring nature and seeing everything that's out here, seeing all the wildlife and all the different kind of plants and stuff that's out here. It's pretty cool.
Not only is there a lot of great hiking in Big Bend, there's obviously a plethora of great people out here just living, enjoying, living up the desert nightlife, having amazing margaritas, enjoying each other's company. What's not to love?
And while it's not hard to find a good time in Terlingua, there's a lot of history to be found. Bill Ivey, owner of the Terlingua ghost town for the last 30 years, has kept that history alive.
Well, quite a few years back, almost 30 years ago, I was fortunate enough to buy a piece of property here, and it just happened to be the Terlingua ghost town. And since then, almost every day of my life, we've spent trying to resurrect, to restore, and to preserve what I was crazy enough to buy back then.
For example, the Perry Mansion has been fully restored. Named after the original town's owner, surveyor, and Mercury Mine owner Howard Perry, the updated mansion still overlooks the town just as it did in the 30s and 40s. A lot has changed since then, but Terlingua remains.
And it takes heart to be up out here, because this is not for the faint of heart, people. No, you can't be green around the gills. because the heat will make you crawl under a rock like a scorpion, you dig?
For anyone with an appetite for adventure or for some interesting food.
Probably the chicken fried antelope. I think really and true that's still one of my favorites.
Terlingua is a one-of-a-kind escape.
As a getaway or as an experience? I mean, that's the thing. We are truly the last frontier, and you can still get that feeling of remoteness, of individualism, of creativity, and like I say, you can be who you want to be when you come out here, and as long as you don't hurt anybody. And it is. Everybody wants to be a part of the last best place. And we've been the last best place for a long time, but people are just now figuring that out.
Well, stick with us. We've got several more great places to show you on this Destination Texas special. We'll be right back. If you like trains, the next two stories are for you. First, we'll look at a scenic tour in East Texas. It's taking passengers on a trip back in time. The Texas State Railroad is home to vintage locomotives and train cars from another era.
Founded in the 1970s, the Texas State Railroad has become an iconic piece of history. The 4-hour train ride takes riders from Palestine to Rusk on a narrated tour of the beautiful backwoods of East Texas, with a stop for a picturesque picnic lunch on Lake Cherokee.
It's one of the most unique experiences you can get while in Texas, and if you want a tourist train, this is the place to come.
With various seating options, there is a train car for everyone, no matter your budget, all featuring optimum views of the surroundings.
The best thing about it is that it's not too far from Dallas or Houston or Shreveport, and we're out here. It's quiet out here in the country, but it's a great trip, and the scenery's fun. The people on the train, all the employees, the goal is to cater to the customers the best we can.
With a full bar for adults and concessions of salty popcorn and sweets for the kids, the service on board is first class. They are currently operating at half capacity and requiring that all riders wear a mask.
Though we have more restrictions right now with what's going on, the goal is that this is a fun experience during the day to come out here, ride the train, relax. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to drive. You just sit on there and enjoy the scenery going by.
A relaxing day on the rails. For Destination Texas, I'm Katie Carver.
Now let's stay a little closer to home. The Railway Museum in San Angelo was once left to decay, but volunteers decided to come together and save a huge part of our history. Nestled in downtown San Angelo is the historic Santa Fe train depot. This once forgotten treasure has been polished up and is now a place where history comes alive.
All aboard! Welcome to the Railway Museum in San Angelo.
Dr. Linda Bond is a volunteer at the museum, and you'll often see her in full period correct regalia teaching visitors about local history.
It was very important in 1888 that San Angelo got a train. This station was built in 1910, and you can see many of the original pieces of that railroad.
There are thousands of artifacts and items on display at the museum, including the original scale used to weigh goods brought in and shipped out on the trains passing through.
You know how easy it is to stand on the scale in your bathroom? It wasn't like that at the turn of the century. When things were going to be shipped by the railroad, they had to put them on the floor here, and then they had to take these metal plates and get them to equal the weight of whatever you were shipping. That's a lot harder.
Upstairs offers a whole new level of excitement for train enthusiasts. Model train sets take up entire rooms and feature many tiny details to take in. Another feature at the museum is this. You can actually hop aboard and take lots of photos, but this isn't just a model, it's the real thing. Visitors are also provided with an activity book, and children can take part in a scavenger hunt finding all sorts of clues throughout the museum. In San Angelo for Destination Texas, I'm Sonora Scott. If you like to explore, this quick trip will be well worth it. The city of Ballinger looks quiet, but there's actually quite a bit to discover. Ballinger, this small but scenic city has a lot to do, see, and explore. There are dozens of boutiques and businesses along the main street and the surrounding area. This is the type of town that's full of mom and pop shops, restaurants, and bakeries, like the Chocolate Chip Cottage. Visit Mary's Kitchen and you'll find fresh coffee, homemade chocolate that takes at least 24 hours to make, and cookies and pastries galore. This artisan, who used to live in Austin, brought the big city sweetness to Ballinger. Back in downtown, you'll find some more sweet deals, from home decor to outfits that are sure to turn some heads. While you're window shopping, you'll also see a lot of Runnels County history throughout the city. A veterans memorial, statues, the train depot, and another monument that's pretty hard to miss. The crossover Ballinger is one of the hot spots for visitors and locals alike. It's a gathering place for many events and is always open and always free for anyone who is curious about this spiritual sculpture. When you get here, you can walk right up. At the base, there are pictures telling a story and even a place to sign in and leave a message. And if you're worried about finding it, don't be, because it's tall. Really tall. The cross is 99 feet and was built by a local family in 1993. Recently, walking trails and monuments have also been added to the land. There are plenty of places to spend some time reflecting and honoring loved ones. All in all, this West Central Texas town is full of surprises and is sure to keep your curiosity piqued and adventurous side alert. In Ballinger for Destination Texas, I'm Sonora Scott. We'll keep it right here because our trip isn't over yet. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for staying with us during this Destination Texas special. Now let's head to Wichita Falls, where there is a major effort to restore the downtown to its original glory.
Downtown Wichita Falls was a booming area in the 1920s after oil was discovered in Burke-Burnett, Texas. But after nearly a century, residents started seeing a decline in activity in the downtown area. But thanks to Executive Director of Downtown Wichita Falls Development, Janice Schmader, and her team, downtown is on its way back to thriving better than before.
There's really just a wide variety of businesses down here, from restaurants to retail, art galleries, there's museums, there's things for children to do, an arcade, so it's really an inclusive district for something for everyone.
And one of the newest attractions in downtown is Maniac's Mansion, owned by Marcus McGee, an arcade and cereal bar for folks young and old to enjoy.
He added something for families to do, children to bond with their parents, to go back and see what video gaming used to be and spend that quality time together.
Growing up here, we didn't have a lot of stuff to do, and I was kind of thinking of, hey, what can I bring to the next generation? And what did we miss out on? It brings the kid out of everybody.
That's why McGee decided to open up Maniac's Mansion, a gamer's paradise that includes 30 arcade games, just about every gaming console you can think of, board games, and even a modern art museum, something that McGee says caters to all ages.
From the old arcades from Galaga, seeing a 7-year-old guy go over there and kill it with the score, all the way to, a young kid over there playing Fortnite, whooping people online.
But games aren't the only thing Maniac's Mansion has to offer.
Also, we do have our Mrs. Nesbitt cereal bar. What a cereal bar is, basically, it's like almost a regular bar. We mix different cereals together. You get to pick your milk.
So if your family's road tripping anywhere near the Wichita Falls area, make sure you stop in and give Maniac's Mansion a go. I promise your inner child will thank you. In Wichita Falls, I'm Curtis Jackson for Destination Texas.
Up next is a stop in Fayette County. These Catholic churches, created by German, Czech, and Austrian immigrants, are sure to leave you in awe.
We are just entering the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary Church in Schulenburg, Texas. This church was built in 1910. It is simply gorgeous. It's in pristine condition. The windows came from Munich, Germany. They have all different designs in them, crosses, hearts. The people that came here were looking for a new life. They came from Austria, from Germany. Now the ceiling, there's tongue and groove wood beneath it, and all of the designs that they painted have 24-karat gold in them. Now, the columns in this church appear to be marble, but they're not. They're wood. They were painted with turkey feathers. we see an ambo. The ambo is where the priests would speak from, and they have their canopies above that throw their voice, because all of that happened before we had electricity and speakers. We have a beautiful organ that is upstairs, and it is a 1909 organ, and the music is beautiful. I love to stand by the doorway and hear them gasp. It brings me so much peace to bring people here that can see how wonderful it is to live in God's country.
Well, don't go anywhere. We've got a few more places to show you coming up. Welcome back, everyone. Now to a place that might look familiar. Big Spring isn't too far from St. Angelo and offers a variety of activities, making for a great day trip.
On the eastern side of West Texas, Big Spring is a small town that sprung to life in the late 20s and early 30s of the last century.
I mean, you can't help but feel like you're really a part of history.
Originally, it was a rest stop with, you guessed it, a big spring.
Comes from the historic spring, which is located in Comanche Trail Park. Just a really interesting town, beautiful historic downtown that is steadily developing more and more. The linchpin of that was the Hotel Settles, kind of got it all started.
Just when you walk around this property, you feel the history. Our ballroom is actually renovated to its original state, from weddings to special events that happen at Hotel Settles. It's almost like you're transported back to that time.
Just like the hotel, Big Spring State Park has been carefully restored too, and the views speak for themselves.
The sun rises, the sun sets, the view off the 200-foot bluff correlating with that. It's really, really incredible.
After a long day outdoors, don't forget to eat.
What I look forward to is kind of not necessarily lightening up the menu, but expounding upon like what our neighboring Mexico and Louisiana, New Mexico, other regions in Texas, the Hill Country, kind of bringing in more influence from those areas. I think in the very near future is going to be an absolute destination dining experience for kids, for adults, for everybody.
There's a lot to see and do in Big Spring, but the glue holding it all together is the wonderful atmosphere and the people.
What I really like about Big Spring is the people. And yeah, they're great. You know, we're passionate and a little bit rowdy at times, but you know, like I said, we're all neighbors. We all get along.
In Big Spring, I'm Chase Menendez for Destination Texas.
Now let's head to a museum that's all about preserving some little-known facts and rare artifacts when it comes to Texas history.
When you think of Texas, you don't necessarily think dinosaurs, do you? I bet your head tends to go towards longhorns, horses, raccoons, and maybe wild hogs, right? Well, one museum in Baylor County will change your mind very fast. This is the Whiteside Museum of Natural History.
Essentially, we are focusing on the Permian fossils of this county, which this is the best place in the world to study 290-million-year-old reptiles and amphibians.
The museum offers a wide variety of history, with its biggest attraction being pre-dinosaur fossils. Yes, before the T-Rexes, the raptors, and Triceratops was the Dimetrodon and other species like it.
It's one of the best skeletons of a Dimetrodon in the world because it's very, very complete. One of the nice things about it is that we didn't move any of her bones. Again, we prepared her so that she's exactly the way we saw her in the ground.
The museum also offers a wide variety of learning experiences, something that Fliss says is critical when it comes to children.
Museums in general give us an incredibly unique, dynamic opportunity to expose kids and families to incredibly immersive learning experiences.
So if you're going stir crazy in your home, load up your family and give the Whiteside Museum of Natural History a go and watch you and your family fly back in time 290 million years.
Well, our tour across the Lone Star State may be over for now, but don't worry. You can find all these stories and more on our website, ConchoValleyHomepage.com. Until our next trip, I'm Sonora Scott, and I'll see you down the road.
Destination Texas is sponsored by Kent Elliott Roofing.